Good afternoon, everyone. It's good to see you all. It's a great day. We're here at this groundbreaking ceremony, and it's a very exciting time for San Pedro, for the city of Los Angeles, and I just think we should just give San Pedro a round of applause right now for this great progress. My name is John King. I'm the Director of Community Engagement and External Affairs for the Housing Authority of the City of Los Angeles. And it is my sincere pleasure and privilege to be here before you today to be a part of this groundbreaking ceremony. It's an exciting time. In 2015, the Housing Authority commissioned a study on the feasibility of the redevelopment of Rancho San Pedro. And during that time, there were a lot of community meetings and a lot of stakeholders were involved and engaged, and we came up with a vision, an idea, but we weren't really ready to move it forward. And as the years went on, we received a Choice Neighborhoods Planning Grant from HUD, Department of Housing and Urban Development, and began a very robust community engagement process that has brought us where we are today. And so it's been my privilege and pleasure to be a part of this, particularly because it includes our residents. We have several of our Rancho San Pedro residents here today. We acknowledge them, appreciate them. Over these years, I've come to learn so much about this community. Being born and raised in Los Angeles, I didn't spend a lot of time in San Pedro, but I learned a little bit about the indigenous tribes that were here, about the canneries that were here, about Mexican Hollywood. Had never heard of that. The community has taught me about that, and the development of the war worker housing, and in the 50s to redevelop to public housing, additional phase was added. And so we've learned a lot, and so we're here at this next chapter in this journey for Rancho San Pedro, and we are all a part of it. All of us here are a part of it, and we're witnessing history. I have this saying that I've been saying since we started the Jordan Downs project in 2008, that it takes teamwork to make the dream work. And that's so important, and it's so appropriate even for this particular project, as we have a dream team that has been put together of developers and community members and city departments that has helped us and brought us to this particular day. And so you'll hear from some of them today, and I think it'll be helpful to give you the full picture and a better picture of what it is we propose to do here, as this particular site represents a much larger initiative that you will hear and learn more and more about. And so it's my privilege to continue us on in this journey, and I have the great privilege of introducing the CEO of the Housing Authority of the City of Los Angeles. In case you don't know, I've had the privilege of knowing Lourdes since our early days at the Housing Authority in the late 90s. And Lourdes and I worked together in the Resident Relations Department. And Lourdes went on to run the San Antonio Housing Authority and to work at HUD under President Obama, and to come back to the state and most recently work for Mayor Karen Bass, and now we get to have her back. And so it is my privilege to be able to stand with Lourdes and to be able to introduce her today. So join me in welcoming Lourdes Castro Ramirez, the CEO of the Housing Authority of the City of Los Angeles.
It's always so great to have the opportunity to come back to a place that you have loved, and a place that you have that has invested so much in you, and to work with people that you have great respect for. And so, John, it is such an honor to work with you again, and it's such an honor to work with an amazing and dedicated team that makes up the Housing Authority of the City of LA. Almost 1,100 employees that make up HACLA, and just really grateful to have the opportunity to serve in this capacity as the new president and CEO. Muy buenas tardes. Qué emoción, ¿o no? Sí. Sí. Es una gran emoción porque después de tantos años, después de tantas juntas, de tantas pláticas, de tantas ideas, ¿verdad? Hoy se manifiesta en realidad con este proyecto que vamos a construir 47 unidades. Y quiero decirle a los residentes de Rancho San Pedro, a los líderes de Rancho San Pedro, que estoy tan agradecida, que estamos todos tan agradecidos con ustedes por su labor, por su compromiso y por estar siempre presente. Así tienen que seguir presentes. Good afternoon, everyone. It is such an honor to be here today to mark this important milestone as we break ground on 47 new units of affordable housing and begin the implementation of the community's vision for Rancho San Pedro, for the Rancho San Pedro neighborhood. Before I begin, I do want to acknowledge that this has been a very difficult start to 2025. From the loss of life to the extensive damage caused by the wildfires, we all have been moved by the bravery of countless first responders and neighbors coming to aid people in need. Our own HACLA staff has been working closely with city, state, and federal partners, including providing staff support at the Disaster Recovery Center to help families that have lost their homes and really their sense of belonging. This is a spirit and connection that we will need as the city heals and moves to recover and to rebuild. I'd like to also, of course, today recognize that the work that happens at the Housing Authority could not be made possible without the leadership of our HACLA Board of Commission, chaired by Cielo Castro, who unfortunately was not able to be with us today. But here with us today is our Vice Chair, Wells Lawson. So please join me in welcoming him, giving him a welcome. Without the leadership and steadfast support of our commission, these long-term redevelopment efforts would not be possible. And many thanks, of course, to our leaders at the city, starting with Councilmember McCosker, who you will have an opportunity to hear from, Mayor Bass, and our many federal and state partners. And as a point of personal privilege, I would like to acknowledge Rufus Washington from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. I know our federal partners, our federal workers have been going through a lot, and please know that we stand in solidarity with you. Local, state, and federal partners have been pivotal to transform the community's vision and our plans into reality. Rancho San Pedro has a long and rich history dating back to 1942 when it was built as workforce housing, providing housing to shipyard workers during World War II. 10 years later, HACLA acquired the 478-unit property, and it became a vital response to our city's severe housing crisis then. Today, 85 years later, HACLA carries that mission forward by expanding housing options in innovative and meaningful ways, and we are proud to continue that legacy. I am honored to stand with residents, with staff, and the many key partners committed to building a more vibrant San Pedro community and more housing to address the growth of our city. This milestone is a result of years of community engagement, as you heard from John King, dozens of public meetings, design workshops, community advisory committee sessions, social gatherings, because you have to gather and break bread, and public hearings. From the very beginning, HACLA has listened to the Rancho San Pedro residents to ensure that their voices and priorities were at the heart of this transformation. Thanks to the dedication of our HACLA team, and I'd like to acknowledge a few key members of the HACLA team who have been with this project from the beginning and who will continue to be with this project as we bring these units to life. Our Chief Development Officer, Jenny Scanlon. Please stand. Jeff Moen. course, John King. Yay. And the entire development and community engagement and housing services staff, if you all can wave to be acknowledged. Thank you all so much. As Los Angeles continues to make progress in tackling our housing and homelessness crisis, this groundbreaking of 47 units represents more than just new homes. It symbolizes our commitment to building a city where families and individuals can thrive. A mixed-income neighborhood with parks, local businesses, and climate-friendly amenities like zero-emission car shares and bike shares. We began with 47 units, and we're committing also today to a multi-year effort that will lead to almost 1,600 units of rental and home ownership opportunities across all affordability levels, with opportunities for future generations of Angelenos. HACLA is very, of course, sensitive to the fact that in redevelopment, redevelopment often leads to relocation, or always leads to relocation of residents. And so we're particularly grateful that this site will enable us to minimize the impact on residents, and you'll hear more about that soon. The revitalization of Rancho San Pedro will be led by HACLA in partnership with the One San Pedro Collaborative, composed of National Core. Please wave, National Core, yay. Century Housing, and the Richmond Group. Thank you all for your commitment. Thank you for joining in this collaboration, not only with HACLA, but with the entire San Pedro community. I also, of course, want to extend my deepest gratitude to Wells Fargo, the city's Community Investment for Families Department led by Abigail. Good to see you, Abigail. The Community Advisory Committee, the Chamber of Commerce, neighborhood councils, and so many more. Thank you all for your support. Thank you all for being part of the planning effort and now moving into implementation. To the Rancho San Pedro residents, please continue to stay involved, stay engaged. We got here because of you, and so we will make it to the end because of you. And so I encourage you to show up to meetings, to give us your input, to let us know how this project is progressing. Because we would not be able to, of course, make this happen without the involvement, engagement, and the ideas and the vision that you all have for your own neighborhood. Our work is not done. It's just beginning, as we all know, and so I encourage all of you to stay engaged and to continue reaching out and sharing with us ways in which HACLA can continue to grow its impact. Together, we are building stronger communities and more housing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lourdes, and welcome back. Welcome home. All right. As Lourdes mentioned, she mentioned the developer partners, the Richmond Group, Century Housing, and National Core. And they help comprise what we call the One San Pedro Collaborative. And we have a representative from that group today who will be speaking to us, Alexa Washburn, Chief Development Officer of National Core. Please join me in welcoming Alexa.
Well, thank you, John, and good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor. Wow, such support here today. It's an honor to be standing here as we break ground on 327 Harbor, a community that represents much more than new housing. It's symbolic of the next chapter in the transformation of One San Pedro. Now, when we embarked on this journey, we were intentional about choosing the name One San Pedro, because we knew this effort was much more than redeveloping an aging public housing complex. This is about reconnecting the Rancho site with the fabric of San Pedro, stitching together a community that for a long time felt isolated, and ensuring that every resident, regardless of income, has the opportunity to live in a place that fosters dignity, opportunity, and connection. So 327 Harbor, it is a critical milestone in this vision. This is the result of partnership. It's the result of perseverance. We've been at this for many, many years, as we were talking, Elise. And it's the result of a shared commitment. A shared commitment to creating a San Pedro that is for everyone. And so I want to take this opportunity to thank our partners at the Housing Authority of the City of Los Angeles, thank our financial partners, thank our local leaders, and thank the residents who have been at the heart of this vision. It's your voice, it's your input, and it's your resilience that guides us through every step. This is just the beginning. And so as we break ground today, we are building much more than housing. We are building a community where families can thrive, where children can dream big, and where San Pedro can come together as one. We are one San Pedro. Let me hear you say it. One San Pedro. Again, one San Pedro. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexa. Excellent. One San Pedro indeed. As we continue on with the program today, I wanted to just share a little bit about the very meaningful and robust community engagement process that the Housing Authority is committed to. As a part of this process, even early on when we received the Choice Neighborhoods Planning Grant, we actually took a group of residents to Washington, D.C. to be a part of a C&I panel and a training and workshop. In addition to that, this One San Pedro collaborative that you see here, the residents had an opportunity to be a part of selecting them. We had each response, our responding organization to our RFP, come to the Boys and Girls Club there and do a presentation to the residents. And the residents got to provide some input to the Housing Authority before we made the final selection, and I think we made a great selection. And that's partly because of the residents' input. And so it's important also that as we have elected leadership within our public housing communities, that we include them in this process as well. And so next we're going to have the president of the Rancho San Pedro Resident Advisory Committee come up and speak, Ruben Hernandez. Come on up, Ruben. And if we could get the interpreter to come and translate back to English.
Muy buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Rubén Arce Hernández. Soy el presidente.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rubén
Arce Hernández.
Rubén Arce Hernández.
Sí.
Rubén Arce Hernández, and I am the president
Del RAC de la comunidad de Rancho San Pedro.
of Rancho San Pedro community.
Hoy en este día me siento muy agradecido por este logro.
Today, I feel very welcome and I feel very appreciative of this milestone
Que hemos esperado por muchos años.
that we've waited for many years.
Estos nuevos apartamentos de vivienda accesible
These new accessible housing complex
tienen un impacto significativo en la calidad de vida de las personas.
has a great impact in the living of these people.
Al proporcionar estabilidad en los servicios y accesibilidad como salud y participación económica en la comunidad.
Because it gives stability in the services and the essential services like health and participation in the financial aspects of the community.
Contribuyendo a una sociedad
Contri-
próspera para garantizar que todos tengan un lugar seguro para vivir sin ser agobiados
Espera un momentito, por favor. Contributing to a society and to guarantee that everyone would have a secure and safe place to live without being prosecuted or without the excessives
a costo de vida.
of the excessive costs of living.
Hoy tengo la seguridad que este proyecto de reurbanización se va a llevar a cabo
Now I know for sure that this project will become a reality.
y quiero dar las gracias a todos los que hicieron este logro posible.
And I want to thank everyone who made this possible.
También quería decirles que una reurbanización exitosa consiste en varios puntos.
Momento. I also wanted to share that a reorganization that will be successful, it has several points.
Y uno de los principales puntos es cuando se le tome en cuenta a la comunidad en todas las necesidades y todo lo que necesita.
And one of those main points is when the community is part of it and they do listen in what they need.
Y hoy quiero dar las gracias a todos los que estuvieron ahí en todas las reuniones, en todas las juntas.
And today I want to thank everyone who was there, who was present, who attended all the meetings,
Principalmente a la señora Jenny,
especially Miss Jenny,
a la señora Carla,
Miss Carla,
a la señora Clara,
Miss Clara,
Ashley,
Ashley,
y a uno de los pilares principales para que esto se realizara, al señor John King. Un aplauso para él.
and one of the main pillars, John King.
Y gracias a todos, gracias.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Ruben. We really appreciate you and your great leadership as the RAC president. You've been doing an excellent job. Thank you. Let's give Ruben another round of applause. Next, someone who needs no introduction here, but I will just say a few words that this next gentleman was engaged with us before he became the councilman. And he actually, I remember at the ribbon cutting at the One San Pedro office there, I have a picture in my office when you were there with the ribbon cutting and you weren't quite the councilman yet. and he represents the 1-5, one district, 5 communities coming together. And in that spirit of One San Pedro, he has the 1-5 council district. And so join me in welcoming Tim McCosker, Councilman, City 15.
Thank you, John. And thank you, Ruben, for your leadership. It is so great to be here. Tim McCosker, Councilman of the 1-5. I say it everywhere, so I'll say it here. We used to be the 15th Council District. We are no longer the 15th Council District. We are the 1-5 because we are one district, 5 beloved communities. From Watts to the waterfront, together we represent Watts, Harbor Gateway, Wilmington, Harbor City, and my hometown of San Pedro. And it's so great to have the 1-5 honoring One San Pedro. I love the One San Pedro chant. And John is right, just because of chamber involvement and community involvement, like so many of you here, I was interested in following this and being part of this. And I was honored in your extensive outreach and work with community leaders, with the RAC, and with the community coaches. I was honored to be asked to come make a presentation at the community center on the history of this area, because my family had been here for hundreds and hundreds of years, and on one side of the family. And so it was touching for me because I got to get back into the history and think about the original land grants and the Rancho San Pedro and the important families that had come here and the important work that was done here and how the port was developed and how the housing for the war effort was developed and how that housing became housing owned by HACLA. And it was really, I felt the pride in myself welling up in this beautiful development, this beautiful community. And I also felt that these RAC leaders and these community leaders in Rancho San Pedro also felt that pride. And it was lovely. And it was really, really lovely. And it gave me a chance at different community meetings to talk to people and ask, what do you think of the project? And I want to reflect for a second, if you'll allow me, on one woman who has passed away, and her name was Octavia Wright. I don't know if anyone remembers Octavia Wright. Octavia Wright was about my age, so she was very young. And she lived in Rancho San Pedro. And she had a hard life, like a lot of folks. She had a hard life, but she found herself nearing age 60, and she was underemployed, but a hard worker, actively engaged in the community. She volunteered for things with Fleet Week, and she went to the Garden Church, and that's where I got to know Octavia. And I took Octavia aside and said, what do you think of the development? What do you think of One San Pedro? And her first reaction was, don't like it. Makes me nervous. What don't you like about it, Octavia? She said, in developments, people get displaced. When you do a redevelopment, people get sent off while they're doing the good work and they don't come back. And that's a real concern, especially in Rancho where we have a great community. We want to integrate the community with the rest of the San Pedro community, but we don't want people to get lost in the system. Right, Lourdes? And this site right here was the answer to Octavia and to so many valid concerns. This is a space that gets developed and it can be used, it will be used as the swing space to make sure when you get moved over, you can almost see the project from here, right? And people stay in the community. And that's so important to respect the dignity of folks who are living in their homes. And so this morning when I woke up and saw my calendar and saw that I was here, I had two reactions. One was, finally! And the other one was, wouldn't Octavia be happy? God bless Octavia. She passed away during the pandemic. But she would be happy. And I want all of our great leaders to know that the work that you've done will make an entire community happy. So thank you and God bless you. And one of the wonderful things I get to do as council member is congratulate people for their work. And so I have this beautiful certificate from the 1-5 to the One San Pedro Collaborative. And Lourdes, if you could come up and you could invite other folks from the collaborative, please come on up. This is on behalf of the City of Los Angeles and the 1-5, congratulations on breaking ground at 327 North Harbor Boulevard. Your commitment to building affordable housing in San Pedro will bring much needed relief to hardworking members of our community, and the integration of this community into the San Pedro community as a whole, making it one San Pedro, is so imperative, and it's part of what we try to do in our district every day, every way. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. And while we're in the spirit of certificates and awards, we have a representative from Congresswoman Annette Barragan's office. Amelia, if you would come up, she has a special presentation before we go on with the regular program.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. Surprise. I'm here on behalf of Congresswoman Barragan. I am her housing and homelessness field aid and caseworker, so I'm really happy to be here. And she's unfortunately in Washington, D.C., where it's super cold, and it's a little cold here, but it's sunny, so we have the privilege of that. It's great to be here to celebrate good news with such a rough start to the year, so I just want to extend a thank you to echo what everyone is mentioning, to our community partners, our community leaders, and everyone who were able to make this possible. So I'm also here to present a lovely certificate on behalf of Congresswoman Barragan. It's a certificate of congressional recognition, and this one is to highlight specifically HACLA, and in celebration of the groundbreaking of the 327 Harbor Housing Development in the heart of San Pedro. This location will provide much needed housing opportunities and support the community-driven redevelopment of Rancho San Pedro. On behalf of California's 44th District, congratulations on this milestone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Congresswoman Barragan is no stranger, and she has been very supportive of this effort, and we thank her for this recognition for HACLA. As we continue on, another aspect of our work has been the establishment of a community advisory committee. And this community advisory committee was established several years ago as we started this effort to include a cross-section of community members, stakeholders, residents, organizations, and entities that helps to advise and direct and be informed about this particular effort. We have several of our advisory committee members here, and I'd like you to stand if you're here. I see Commissioner Lee Williams here. Let's acknowledge him. Elise, who you're going to hear from. Augie from the court. Diana Nave from the Neighborhood Council. They have been with us. Yeah, we have our residents. That's right. The residents who are part of it, stand up too. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Diane. I appreciate that encouragement for our residents. And so we have had many meetings over these years to be engaged and informed and to hear from these stakeholders. And one of them is Elise Swanson, the President and CEO of San Pedro Chamber of Commerce, and she's here. So if you could join me in welcoming Elise. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you that know me, know I can tend to get a little emotional, so I'm going to be working off of some notes today. But Councilmember, you're right. Octavia would be very excited today to see the progress that has made. And I'm humbled, and I'm so proud of all, to be a part of this, but proud of all the work our community has done together. It's a momentous day as we break ground on these apartments, a vital step forward in providing quality, affordable, and mixed income housing for the San Pedro community. But it's more than just construction and the start of this project today. Today represents hope, opportunity, and the commitment of so many people and organizations. And I'm just so proud to stand with all of you here today that have been engaged in this effort. It's emotional for me because I go back to 2001 in the Hahn administration when we dreamt of a day when we could see a beautiful new community take shape here on the LA waterfront. And I want to thank the residents for inviting the chamber and the business community in to join you in this journey. I represent more than 450 business members in our chamber. I have past board chair Lee Williams with us today, the council members of past board chair, and I want to thank both of you for really helping the chamber and the business community focus on such an important effort, breaking down walls. It's been a dream of the chamber to fully integrate the Rancho San Pedro community into downtown San Pedro and beyond, so everybody can realize the dreams of jobs, beautiful housing, new community resources on this incredible LA waterfront. So as we put shovels in the ground today and we're all laying the foundation for a brighter future, I just can't thank you all enough for all joining together to bring us for this day. And I just want to say on behalf of the San Pedro Chamber, we're going to say very engaged in this effort and involved with all of you and the residents. And I've just really enjoyed working with so many of you as we continue the phases in bringing the entire One San Pedro to fruition. So thank you everybody for letting us be a part of it.
Thank you, Elise. And many of us who have been around somewhat, you heard the cliche that says someone is a pleasure to work with. And it's great when you really can mean that. And these folks that we are working with, it's really a pleasure to work with them. They're so sincere and supportive and open and transparent, and it's made a sincere pleasure to work with all of you on the Community Advisory Committee. As we continue on, we would like, I mentioned that it takes teamwork to make the dream work, but also takes money. And our next presenter, our speaker rather, Janine Halverson, Multifamily Capital Director for Wells Fargo. Let's give her a big round of applause, please.
Well, I'm not here to pass out money, but I'm sorry for the disappointment. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, and members of the San Pedro community, it's a true honor to stand before you today as a representative of Wells Fargo as we celebrate the groundbreaking of 327 Harbor Apartments. This project marks a significant step forward in our commitment to addressing the affordable housing crisis in our communities, and we are proud to be a part of it. Wells Fargo is thrilled to provide $65 million in equity construction and permanent funding for this transformative project, which represents the first off-site phase of the redevelopment of Rancho San Pedro, an aging public housing site, into a vibrant new community here in San Pedro. This investment reflects our deep belief that everyone deserves access to safe, affordable housing, and that together we can make a meaningful impact. It's worth noting that the original San Pedro Public Housing Project, like others have said, was built in the 1940s, was part of a broader initiative to provide housing for workers during World War II. The influx of jobs in shipbuilding and defense industries created a pressing need for accessible living spaces. The original projects were designed not only to accommodate this growing workforce, but also to create a sense of community, incorporating modern amenities that were innovative for their time. Today, we honor that legacy as we embark on a new chapter of revitalization. We are grateful to our partners, National Corps, Century Housing, Richmond, as well as Fannie Mae, HACLA, HCD, and HUD, and many more, for their dedication, perseverance, it's a very big one for this project, perseverance and vision in bringing this project to life. Your commitment to revitalizing our neighborhoods and enhancing the quality of life for residents is commendable and inspiring. As we break ground today, we are laying the foundation for a brighter future for countless families in San Pedro, creating homes where people can build their lives and thrive. Thank you for joining us in this important moment. Together, let's build a future where everyone has a place to call home. Thank you.
Thank you, Janine. Appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to be here with us today. Before we introduce our next speaker, I want to just take a quick second to acknowledge Patricia. I always mess up your last name. Say it for me so I won't mess it up one last time. Valladolid. All right. Patricia has been spearheading the One San Pedro Alliance. And being slightly different from the advisory committee, these are service organizations that have come together over the last several years to strategize, to figure out how best to serve this community, what resources are needed, and how to better move us forward, both now and the future. Patricia, we want to thank you for your efforts. Let's give her a hand. And also we have some of the participants. I saw Pastor Rhett earlier. Is she here? She had to leave, maybe? Okay, she stopped by for a minute. But there are several organizations: Boys and Girls Club, YMCA, Angels Gate Cultural Center, Providence Community Health, Chamber of Commerce, obviously, San Pedro Faith Consortium, and many more. So I wanted to give them a shout out and acknowledge the great work as a part of this great dream team. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, who's no stranger to the city family. Seems like I've seen her around for years. And now she is the general manager of CIFD for the city of LA, Abigail Marquez. Would you please come forward?
Thank you, John. I think you just aged me a bit. But yes, we go back about 20 years working alongside the Housing Authority and so many incredible city departments that are really committed to bringing projects like this to fruition. And I just want to really just thank our partners at the Housing Authority for inviting the Community Investment for Families Department to share a little bit of this joy with you. We played a small but very significant role in helping to identify $3.5 million in community development block grant funding to help acquire the land to help build the project here. And I know that we already mentioned our partners at the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, Rufus Washington, who's here. You are all incredible partners to the city. We really appreciate the ongoing dialogue and the technical assistance and support we get from our partners at HUD. Our department oversees a community development block grant, which represents approximately $15 million in federal resources annually. And we do have the great privilege of working alongside a number of community stakeholders to identify the projects where these funds can create the greatest impact. And so to me, this is such an exciting day that I get to see something that was so critical to our community come to life. So I just want to, again, thank you for the opportunity to partner with you. I also want to just congratulate Jenny. Where is she? I know she was already acknowledged, and her team. We worked for many, many months to make this project happen, so I appreciate your patience. This was a new endeavor for our department. We're not normally in the housing acquisition business, but we did it because we believed in this project and we believe in the commitment that HACLA brings to this community. So Jeff, of course, I know you're there. And then just quickly, just to acknowledge my team. I mentioned we're a small but mighty department, and Angela Peavy is here, and Connor and Brian. They oversee all of our capital improvement projects. We have about 100 capital improvement projects that are in some form of development across the city. We partner with 19 different city departments. And again, this is the best part of the job is when we get to come and see these projects come to life. So I just want to say thank you again, and brevemente en español a la comunidad que está aquí. Me da mucho orgullo que la ciudad escuchó lo urgente que es este proyecto en la comunidad y está apoyando a la comunidad con este proyecto. Muchas gracias por su esfuerzo, por la paciencia que tuvieron con la ciudad y por todo su labor. Estoy muy orgullosa de poder apoyar ese proyecto en una manera pequeña pero muy importante. Muchas gracias. Thank you all.
Thank you, Abigail. We appreciate your ongoing support and for being here today. The councilman mentioned earlier about, was it Octavia? Yeah. When the vision was shared and she had some concerns about the impact it would have on the residents and displacement. And if she was concerned, imagine also then how many of the residents felt as we began to share this idea and this vision. And what I've learned over the years, you can share the vision, explain it, help them understand your commitment, but it takes time to build trust. It takes time to build that rapport and relationship where there is that full buy-in. And our next speaker is one of the residents who had been there from the very beginning, and she's probably had more questions about this project than any other resident in Rancho, and we welcome that, and that's why we're here. Before I bring her up, I want to acknowledge Carla Velasco from my team, who was helping a great deal, boots on the ground with the residents. But Beatrice, come on up, Beatrice. Beatrice Mendez. She used to be the RAC president. She's played many leadership roles. As we introduce her, I want to just acknowledge the community coaches. So you see, community coaches, would you stand? In addition to the Resident Advisory Council, we also have a community coach program that we established. And the community coaches, several of them couldn't make it today, they assist us with outreach and engagement. They assist us with not only flyer distribution and door knocking, but they help us better understand the needs and concerns of the residents. And so as we may have 1 or 2 community meetings in 1 or 2 months, we have multiple meetings with the coaches so that we can have a more granular understanding of what the residents' concerns are. And so Beatrice has been a key member of our community coach program for several years now, and we'd like to give her an opportunity to share some words. Let's give her another hand, Beatrice. English and Spanish. You want me to get the interpreter? You get the interpreter.
I feel like those who speak Spanish are testing me.
Buenas tardes a todos. Es un placer realmente estar aquí en este sueño
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with this dream
que se va a inaugurar ahora.
That will be open today, inaugurated today.
Estoy, como dice el señor King, desde el principio, casi desde el 2016 aquí en este proyecto.
Like Mr. King mentioned, I've been here like maybe since like 2016, part of this project.
Trabajando con cada uno de ustedes, con el señor Tim, con Alexa, con Lee, con Lisa, con todos, y es un placer de verdad.
Working with every one of you and with everyone, it's been a pleasure working with you.
Recuerdo cuando seleccionamos al grupo, los residentes que estuvimos en las juntas de patio, que hicimos el alcance para seleccionar al grupo para... Perdón.
Sorry. I remember when we selected the group, all the residents that did the outreach to select the group.
Para que estuvieran en este proyecto con mucho entusiasmo.
To be part of this project with a lot of enthusiasm.
Igual el señor Tim cuando nos fue a dar esa plática de Rancho San Pedro.
Tim also when he came and talked to us at Rancho San Pedro.
Que nos dio la historia de lo que era Rancho San Pedro y nos conmovió cómo empezó todo y cómo nos educó.
He touched us when he shared the story about Rancho San Pedro, and he really touched us.
Les agradezco a todos, la verdad, este es un sueño. Estoy súper nerviosa, pero de verdad es un sueño vivido, es un futuro, como dice el señor Rubén, para nuestras familias, para nuestros hijos, un mejor hogar, una mejor calidad de vida. Perdón.
I'm very, very nervous. But I'm very nervous and I'm very touched. I'm very emotional. This is a dream. This is a life, a real dream for everyone, for mothers, families, kids.
Fue mucho el alcance, mucho el trabajo que hizo JACLA para hablar con nuestros residentes.
It was a lot of outreach done by JACLA to talk to the residents.
Teníamos juntas a veces hasta 3 veces a la semana.
We used to have sometimes even 3 times a week we would have meetings.
Horas y horas.
Hours and hours.
Para informar a la comunidad de lo que estaba sucediendo.
To share and inform the community of what was going on.
Y como dice Mr. King, tal vez yo llegaba y todas las preguntas yo era la esponja que las agarraba.
And maybe like Mr. King says, maybe it was me who would just have all the questions and absorbed all of them.
Pero la comunidad me las hacía a mí para yo responderles y darles la respuesta, y aún me las siguen haciendo, y este paso para ellos y para mí como madre de 7 hijos, les doy gracias a JACLA por haberme abierto las puertas de tener un hogar digno para vivir.
But the community would ask me the questions. I would ask the questions. They would need answers from me. So I would ask them. So I would try to answer the questions. And it was very, very emotional for me, very informative. Me as a mother of 7 kids.
Les doy gracias, como les digo, a JACLA por haberme abierto las puertas a tener un hogar digno para mi familia. Les agradezco.
I'm sorry. I thank JACLA for me to give me housing for me, for my kids. I really appreciate it, and I thank JACLA.
Y a todos, gracias por estar aquí con nosotros y empezar un nuevo día.
And everyone, thank you for being here and to start a new day.
Gracias, con permiso.
Thank you so much, Beatrice. We really appreciate you, your commitment, your leadership, and all the residents. And so there has been a lot that has been said, and we want to move on. But I just want to, on behalf of the Housing Authority and our CEO and our commissioners, thank you all for being here. Thank you for your partnership. This is a great, exciting project that means so much to so many, and we are all a part of it. And so it's an extreme blessing, even personally for me, just to play some small role in this great project. And so with that, this will conclude this portion of the ceremony today, and we want to move over to the shovel portion. And I need some instructions on that. I don't know how we're going to just do it. Like, where's the camera? Help me. Somebody help me out.